Hello and welcome to the Red Feather Genealogy channel. This time we're going to be doing GEDmatch. GEDmatch, put very simply, is a website where you download DNA from someplace and then you upload it to GEDmatch. GEDmatch.com. And it is entirely free, so I like to emphasize that because I try to get everybody from every website to come over here to GEDmatch because it's awesome, it does a lot for you, and yes, it is 100% free. So, what GEDmatch is: you can take your DNA from most any of the testing sites. Some of these will look familiar, some of them not so much. The big ones would be 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. My favorite is Living DNA. I've got a link to them below if you haven't heard of them. A few of these I actually had to look up to find out what they are. But essentially, if you have tested through any of these companies, then you can test through GEDmatch. Here's an example of what GEDmatch does. Very pretty, right? GEDmatch is about deeper ancestry. I'll get to more of that in a minute, but this is one example of admixture results. This is another example. Different kinds of charts, different kinds of breakdowns, different kinds of calculators. So what do I mean by deeper ancestry? Well, in my case, I am pretty much English in background. Pretty thoroughly Northwest Europe in general, but I'd say give or take 90% English. And a lot of people want to take a test and they want to find out if they're English or Norwegian or German or anything else. But that's kind of a difficulty because of deeper ancestry that makes it up. This is more realistically what English DNA is. It's a series of migrations from far and wide, and to kind of break it down into very basic generalized layers, you have the prehistoric peoples. This is where Stonehenge came from. You have the Celts, you have the Romans, you have the Anglo-Saxons, you have these guys, you have the Norman invasions. This is just a couple thousand years of invasions and not even counting everything that happened in between. And there have been many DNA projects ongoing in the news, especially lately, trying to figure out who in the British Isles came from where, what they're made of, and so on and so forth. So, GEDmatch is your glimpse into that. So, how GEDmatch works. Here we go with the tedious, exciting stuff. So you just go to GEDmatch.com. You're going to see something like this. And to register, you go here. Essentially, you'll want to go to the upload fast screen. The only trickiness of this is that sometimes these different testing sites change their technology, and then GEDmatch has to change according to them. So you might have to use something called GEDmatch Genesis. That's the stuff at the top of the page. A lot of these graphics are going to have a lot of information completely cut off just to fit them onto the screen, but for general purposes, you'll want to go to fast unless otherwise notified. So you're going to see a screen that looks something like this. You just follow the instructions and you will get a kit number. The kit number is your whole identity on here. Mine happens to be this. If you want to look me up, you can look up anybody, including me. See if I'm related to you, because I just might be. So, what GEDmatch does. Now you've got a kit number and now you're on here. I'm going to just do a generalized breakdown of the website, and there's so much more to tool around with and explore. So this is just going to be the very basic tour. So here we go with analyze your data, the different things that you can do. One-to-many matches. This is how you see your list of relatives. So you're just going to punch in that kit number, and boom, here's your list. This is just part of my list, again shaved down so that it'll fit into the screen. If any of this looks intimidating or confusing, it really isn't. It's not really glossy and polished like a lot of the other websites are, but on the other hand, it's very scientific and it's free, so go figure. this is what you're essentially looking at. You get the name of the person, and an L over there means that you can click on that L to see their list of relatives. Not usually handy, but just so you know, it's there. The cm is just a unit of measurement. It means centimorgans. Essentially, the bigger the number, the closer the relation, generally. And the names and the email addresses. You're going to notice that there are different kits with different letters that begin the kit numbers here, and that's because they're coming from all these different testing sites. So if you have tested through 23andMe, you can test against somebody who went through FTDNA. This is a central hub for everybody. And you can also use the email addresses, of course, to contact these people and compare notes and try to figure out how you're related. So, the L, to get into that slightly more, if you think somebody's related to you and somebody else, for the purposes of triangulation, which is a bit more of an advanced theme, which I'll get into in a later video, you just click the L and it brings up their whole list alongside yours, so you can see if somebody is on your list and their list, that kind of thing. Another thing to play with. Again, the centimorgans thing. The largest cm is one long stretch, and total is how many. So if you have 10 stretches, you're going to have the grand total there. Sometimes you get one long stretch, sometimes you get like 5 little stretches. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the list of names again, and I would strongly suggest emailing close matches, of course. So, what's really important about this is the A column. You click on the A, and it's going to show you exactly where you match them on chromosomes. This is where it gets really important for figuring out how you're related to people. It'll take you to this screen. I would suggest clicking the graphics and positions thing there, and you'll get something like this. This is a reasonably close match of mine. We match on one long segment on chromosome 4 there. Again, it looks technical, but don't worry about it. Just have fun with it. See if it starts to kind of come to you. Just honestly, that's all I did. I didn't have to study a lot of stuff. It's just longer centimorgan, closer relation. If I match this guy here, and we have these common ancestors, then other people who match there also have those common ancestors. Next thing, one-to-one compare. This is just to see if you're related to somebody at all. So you're just going to want to go and punch in your kit number, their kit number, and see if they match. You can put in my kit number and see if we match. And again, it's going to take you to a screen like that last one, and if we match, we match. The really fun one is admixture. This is where the pretty pie charts and whatnot come into play. So you're going to get this screen with all these different options. Probably a good place to start, there are different calculators listed here as projects. We'll go with Eurogenes for this one, and admixture proportions. All this means is you're going to get a pie chart, is what it means. So go ahead and select those two. You put in your kit number and select the calculator. K36 is the great big giant one with lots and lots of population, so we'll go with that one because it's a lot of pretty colors. And you get something like this. So this is referring back to the other image of all the populations that became English. You can see here that a lot of these populations definitely didn't start in England. You got the Caucasus, you've got the East Balkans, and a few others, little bits and pieces. So another option that you can do with the admixture is proportions by chromosome. So you'll go to a very familiar looking screen, and we'll go with K36 again and put in your kit number, and it's going to give you by chromosome. It doesn't do the X, but it does the first 22 of what percent of which population is on each chromosome. So that's fun. We'll try chromosome painting now. This is where it gets pretty. And you'll get a result like this. This is, of course, a small fraction of the screen, but you're going to get very long, colorful stretches of what goes where. Something like this is very handy if, let's say, well, a lot of Americans are looking for American Indian ancestry. So it's very handy with this, where you get lots and lots of chromosomes with very familiar looking European stretches, and then you'll get a big stretch that is identified as Amerindian. It's essentially a way of looking for things that are out of the ordinary that you want to concentrate on and that you want to compare against others. Again, this is more tooling and puttering, and I'll get more into it down the road, but for the time being, this is how you can look at each of your chromosomes in bright, pretty breakdown colors. And we can do the same thing with the reduced size here, and you'll get that graphic that you saw before. And you can see little bits and pieces of where some interesting things showed up that were maybe unexpected. So that's the gist of it. I'm hoping that I didn't burn through it too quickly, but the object of it is to have fun with it because it's free. It's a hub for all these different testing sites. It's a lot of fun. It gets you into deeper ancestry. It shows you chromosome views that other sites would not have, and it is very, very, very strongly recommended for everybody. So, until next time, please do subscribe, and I'll be making more videos in the near future.